Hey guys, it's Doc, and today we're up in Cleveland, Georgia, North Georgia Mountains, just before the North Georgia Mountains, and we're at Golden Gems, which is actually part of the old Loud Mine, and Golden Gems has been around here for years and years and years. And we're running the Gold Hog unit, and we're running it a little bit different today. We're going to show it in a dual mode where we run it as a high banker and a dredge at the same time. This is our second day here, so it's kind of early in the morning. So it's a little bit windy. You're going to hear some wind noise, unfortunately. But what I want to do is we're going to run it in a dual mode. We're going to run the high banker as a high banker and a dredge. And they have dirt piles here that they dig up. And right now we're working this old material that's from way down 30, 40, 50 feet. This material today probably doesn't have as much gems in it, so I'm not worried about it. This has more gold in it. Plus I'm going to be dredging right in the creek as well too at the same time on the same unit. It's pretty cool. So we've got three of us. I got to work today, so I'm actually dredge. And then David and Rick are actually going to be running buckets and running the material. And we're going to run that for probably about 3 hours straight, non-stop. Yesterday we did a short run. We did about an hour run and then an hour and a half run. Then we did a cleanup, and it was phenomenal. It was great stuff. And Joey, who runs the plant operation now, because this still is a commercial working operation, one of the last ones in Georgia. But Joey was up there, and we've installed our UR mats with. We've done some different configurations, and I finally got him to switch over, and he was just amazed. As a matter of fact, I got an email from him. It's funny because he was so excited. They have to run their rocks here, and I'll show you that. I talked with Joey. I'll show you that maybe in a little bit. But they have to run their rocks because they have a lot of gems. So it's kind of hard because they've got to run the rocks down and completely wash them clean. And it's a weird configuration. So what we did is I finally convinced him. He finally took the riffles off that top section, and he just has UR mat with expanded metal running about 20,000 gallons per hour. It's enormous. Wait till you see this. It's amazing. And he emailed me and he flipped out. And he said 99% of my gold was caught in that first portion. They cleaned out the lower portion, and he said we had like 2 pieces of gold in that lower portion on the first try they did with it. And the mat was just super, I think, over clean, but hey, it caught all the gold. And it was kind of exciting because he said, hey, if I did this normal section the way I used to do it, I've had 5 gallons of cons, and I'd be like, man, now I got to go work all this cons. And then he had a lower section, so he's got 15 gallons of cons. He pulled out the cons out of that top section, and he had 1 pan, regular gold pan, not even full, just half full of cons. And all of his gold from that, they ran about 4 or 5 tons, was in that 1 pan from that 1 top UR mat. It was amazing. It was pretty cool. So I'm going to show you that. Like I said, this is our second day. Yesterday we had 2 good runs, short runs, and then we did about an hour and a half run. And we must have got off the gold. We were dredging a certain point in the creek, and we didn't have as good of gold down on the second run. But Joey was real impressed. Everyone was real impressed. They're like, man, I'm more impressed with your Gold Hog machine than I am this because I found so much gold down there. It's because we're running double. We're dredging and we're running the dirt at the same time. The next thing I want to talk about is this place. I'm going to show you some of the history of it. I don't want to repeat myself, but this is part of the old Loud Mine from way back in the 1800s before it. And then once the Civil War happened, the state of Georgia actually split up. It used to be close to 2,000 acres. This parcel, I think it's about 80 acres they own. It's really the only active gold mine still in Georgia. And Brian came here back in the 80s, had a huge plant that's been closed down for a long time. And they used to find huge nuggets, and I'm going to put that up on the screen. I'm going to show you some of these nuggets that they found. And I got one in my hand that I'm going to show you. And that nugget is 3/4 of an ounce. It wraps around, and there's a ruby stuck inside of it. And it actually, they take it to the gold show every year up in Dahlonega, and they display it. And then I'm going to show you some of these other pieces, incredible wire gold. So I'm going to put those up, and I'm going to pause for a minute and let you look at some of the old pieces. Now, some of these old pieces that they have are from the 1980s, and they really haven't found, real significant nuggets like that since. They were in a real heavy pocket. And most of this is placer gold, however you say it. So when you come up here, a lot of people go and they work the dirt and say, well, I didn't find any gold, I didn't find any gold. And if you're not an experienced prospector or miner, you got to understand that Georgia gold is very, very fine. Most people just pan it right out. I mean, it's 1/50th of an inch, little teeny specks. So a lot of people are just panning out the dirt. Matter of fact, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here where people are panning and running for gems, and I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to go clean up their material, some of the gold that they missed. We're going to go clean up that section down there with the dredge. But you got to understand, and here's one of the points with the Gold Hog unit, we want large scale. We want to move a lot of dirt. So let's talk in buckets for a minute, since that's what most people, if you have a 5-gallon bucket, and let's say there are 5 to 10 pieces of little gold, tiny little gold inside that 5-gallon bucket. Well, if it takes you an hour to run that one bucket, how many pieces of gold are you going to find? You're going to find 5 to 10 pieces of gold, and that's kind of what the Gold Hog is for. Is we can run close to 3 tons of material per hour through that unit, and that's sort of the principle of gold mining. Is once you refine your system to get to an efficient system, let's say whatever your loss rate is, maybe you're at a 90 or 95 or 98% recovery rate of your gold, now you can increase, if you can increase the material you run, now you increase your capture. So that's kind of where this whole thing, that's kind of how this whole thing works, is you really want to find a system that's based on your type of gold for your area. If you're in Georgia, get ready for fine gold. Most areas have a lot of fine gold. Even Alaska, they find a lot of what they call flour gold up there. It's -50, -100 flour gold. And you've got to have a system that can capture that efficiently. But once you do that, you need to have a system that you can run a ton of material. So a lot of people might come down and say, oh, I work 5 or 10 buckets of material. Well, when we come down, we'll run 100 buckets an hour. So if I can run 400 buckets or 500 or 600 buckets in one day, and someone else can process 10 buckets of material, who's going to find more gold? And you got to understand that. That's sort of the whole process of prospecting and mining, is increasing that feed rate material. So if you come down here and you say, well, I didn't find any gold, you need to understand, if you're panning for it, understand how fine it is and look for those little specks. If you're working recovery equipment, have a piece of recovery equipment that can find the fine gold. But hopefully move a lot of material. We don't screen at all, and that's the one thing you're going to learn about this system is we don't have to screen. We're dumping huge rocks through this system. It's a self-screening, self-classifying system. So, and nothing enters into these trays that's smaller than 3/8 of an inch. Now, I have found, people say, well, I always screen down. Well, I've found 1 or 2 nuggets down here that would not make it through an 1/8 of an inch screen, maybe not even a 1/4 of an inch screen. So that's why I don't like to screen too small. We're running high water volume, good velocity, and it's amazing to watch this unit work. So we'll take you in, and again, I'm going to show you a little bit of history. I'll show you some of the places. It's a real nice place. They have a pavilion up there. They have places that you can go and search their gems. A lot of people come up here for the gems. Tons of amethyst. We find beautiful amethyst, lots of quartz, citrine, rubies and sapphires. I found a bunch of those. Emeralds. I found a ton of emeralds up here. And I'll show you, I've even got some rings that I'll probably put up and show you some of the rings, but I'll show you some of the stones that we found. A real nice pavilion. They have campgrounds here that, talked to one guy that's been camping here for 2 weeks straight, and he's got a 4-inch dredge that he's running up here in the creek. And but all summer long people come up here. They have RVs, they have a shower area, they have restrooms. It's just a beautiful natural setting. The other thing I want to let you know is this is one of the few places left that you can really experience gold mining the way that most commercial ops do it. In other words, this is real dirt that's dug way down and then brought up that you can actually work. So it's not like it's a tourist place. A lot of tourists come here and they pan for gold and they look for the gems. But if you're a prospector, if you're a serious prospector, you can come up here and you can work. You can dredge, you can high bank, you can run a stream sluice, do whatever you want. Susan, one of the partners up here, one of the owners, I was talking to her, and she had a guy come up with a 4-inch dredge one time a couple years ago, and he hit a pocket of gold, and with that 4-inch dredge, I think it was 1 or 2 days, pulled an ounce of gold out of that creek with a 4-inch dredge. That's pretty good. But it's just an amazing place to come. One of my favorite places, and especially when we do a lot of testing on a material, this is really good because I can dredge, I can run real material, have a lot of fine gold put through my system. So as you can see from behind me, this is the main creek that comes through here. And the creek wraps all the way around the property, and they've got 2 piles set up here. They have dirt that they've brought in. You can work the dirt, you can sluice, you can high bank, you can dredge, you can camp here, and it's all family run. So real nice folks, and it's just a great operation. If you get the chance, stop by. So I'm gonna head on down. You can probably hear them shoveling in the background, but they're already started. I got them set up. They're running buckets right now, and we're just gonna run. Like I said, we'll probably do about a 3-hour straight run, and I'll show you the results on it from yesterday's gold and today's gold too. So hold on. Hey guys. Okay, so we just came from the commercial operation, and I don't know where this is going to go in the video. You'll have to excuse me. So we just came back from the commercial operation up here with Joey where he's running it. Now I want to show you, this is pile number 1. They have 2 piles down here that are next to the creek. So I want to show you this dirt over here and show you this pile. You can see the shovel on there, which is nice for perspective. And this is some of that. This is some of that old river dirt. They're actually down there running. You can see some of the round river rocks inside of it. The guys are down there, and they're running the Gold Hog down there. And what they're doing is they're running it with, they're dredging and high banking at the same time. So what I'm doing, I'm trying to explain to you now, is I'm back down by the creek, and I'm going to show you that what they're doing is they're running the Gold Hog unit. Let me do it this way. They're running the Gold Hog unit, and what they're doing is Rick is over there dredging with our 2.5-inch setup, and then David is running dirt down from the pile and also high banking at the same time. So we're just also high banking at the same time. So we're just putting it to this unit, putting it to it, putting it to it. And he's dredging pretty deep in that creek right there. And you can see what the machine does, just throwing off those rocks. Now that's just from dredging. Alright, so this is really what I want to show you, is David's over here dumping buckets in while Rich is actually dredging over here. So we got 2 people only working this machine. I'm being lazy and not doing anything. 2 people. So this guy's dredging, he's helping out if he gets a clog or something like that. Then he's coming back over and he's getting buckets. And he's going to come over and feed that machine. Whew. Hey guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, this is, again, I'm constantly playing with this system, and so I'm going to show you something that we're working on, and it's a little triangle. Let me see if I can get it for you. It's sort of this little L screen with little legs on it, and what we're doing is, since we're having such good luck under our fluid bed catching gold, we're taking this, and we're putting it right in here. Right on that. And so when the water falls from the next tray, a lot of fine gold will be caught under here. There's a protection zone, and then the water has a tendency to move smoother and quicker through here, and I really like this. So that's one of the things we're doing today. I wanted to show you that new little trick. So it's just a little L, put it up here, the water falls onto it, and it smoothly releases down here, but it also offers another type fluid bed underneath. It's pretty cool. Whew. Hey guys, I'm doing Survivor Man on you, so just ignore me, but I'm going to show you some of the dirt piles, some of this ancient dirt that they're running over here. And they're about to actually fire up the plant over there, so I'm going to show you it running too, and I figured it's a lot easier for me to walk around with the mini camera, so I'm going to be narrating as we go. But here's some of that dirt. But you can see these are just beautiful river rocks. These are old, thousands of years old river rocks from deep, deep down. Nice and round quartz. And this is a lot of the material that we're running. And there's some of the piles. And then there's a massive pile back over here that I'll show you too. But there's a good look at the plant operation. It's a small plant, and they'll run it. But there's some of the dirt. And there goes the plant. So we're going to go over, I'm going to watch it, and you're going to see how much water they got. It's amazing. All right, now they just turned on the second pump, and now you can really see the amount of water that's coming out of there. It goes down into this catching bin over here. It's all rubber lined. Then it has to come in and feed through over here into this other bin over here. Then it goes back over to the pumps. It's sent back up to the operation. It's a ton of water running through. And that little UR mat that's sitting up in there with just half-inch expanded, where they're catching all this gold. This will give you a good sort of perspective. Okay, so the material's going in here, getting washed. That's got to be 20,000 gallons an hour. Coming down to UR mat, right in here. That section is just UR and half-inch expanded metal. You can see how fast it's running. Then it goes into this other double sluice stage with riffles. Then it's going down. All the way down the chute. This is where that rock separation takes place, right down here. I'll give you a little perspective too. There's that huge pile, and that's what, 30 feet tall. That's got to be about 30 feet tall over there. This is what I want to show you right here. That's a beautiful looking rock. That's a nice river rock right there. You can see this, all rounded over and smooth. The one right next to it, rounded over and smooth quartz. You can see the mineralization inside this one. But here's a good example. Nice and smooth and rounded from thousands of years of just rolling through the river and rolling through the river before it eventually got covered up. Hey guys, today as you know, we're up at Golden Gems in Cleveland, Georgia, and we're talking to Joey, and we're talking about running the main plant up here. Now they used to have, when did the big plant shut down? The real big one?
About 90, around 94, somewhere around there.
Okay, so up until 94, Brian and his partner, his old partner, they built that thing when, back in the 70s?
No, about 80, early 80s.
Early 80s.
82.
And that was a monster, like dude. Now, I'll probably put up a picture of that old one that Brian gave me. He gave me one of those old photos when he was young and kicking.
Oh yeah.
And so I'll put that photo up. Yeah, it is cool. I'll put one of those photos up so you can see that. But then they scaled it down and they scale it to the smaller one. I've been here before and I've showed you some of this footage, and it was cold as heck, and it's actually beautiful out here today. It's sunny, supposed to get high 70s. But they're about to start a run up, and understand the difference of this operation. This operation, a big part of their operation is rocks. So I mean, you've got a big rock business because it's gems. There's a lot of gems in this stuff, and they've got to save their gems. They got to wash their rocks. They got to save their gems. They actually, all their rocks get classified down. So it's not just a gold operation, it's actually a gem and rock operation. So you've got to mine for both here. It's not like you can just take the two out separately. Now, we had talked initially, my concern was on the top level when we were running this. My initial concern was the large riffles up top and rocks getting caught into that, and so you guys were going to put a trommel in, right?
Yeah, originally we were going to put a trommel in, and we didn't really want to get that extreme with it, so we didn't really want to go that big, and we were kind of kicking ourselves in the butt for not doing it originally, because it would wash the rocks so much better and turn the material better. And once we put the new matting in, it pretty much took away a need for that. It's letting it roll, letting the rocks roll and get very, very clean. And
well, that's one thing we're going to talk about. So what we did was, and like everyone, Joey was a skeptic at first, because this is a new technology and there's not a new technology around. But we initially ran it with the riffles, expanded metal, and then UR. And then I realized, Joey sent me an email saying, hey man, we just did a run and we had phenomenal results. And I didn't realize they'd taken the riffles out. So now they're running the initial material. You're going to see the amount of water that's coming through here. They're running this whole slurry situation with large rocks going through it with just UR mat and half-inch expanded metal. Then it drops down into a 2-stage sluice down here. But tell me what happened the other day, the first time you ran it. This is a funny story.
Well, the first time we ran it, we ran about 5 tons of material, and everything was going really well. This whole top section was running real smooth, where we took all the riffles out, and we ran a lot of dirt, and we had a lot of water flow going that day. We were trying to keep everything moving as quick as possible, and we ran probably 4 hours, maybe around 5 tons of dirt, and we got finished with that, shut it down, and I looked in this upper box in this matting, and there was like no material. There was very little. There was hardly any small rock. Very little light sand, and my initial thought was, I guess we just blasted way too much water and just washed all the gold right down in the hole. But once we started cleaning it out, we realized that there was this whole top section, there was enough material to cover about 1.5 inches in the bottom of one of those medium-sized black pans. And I was like, well, we must have washed it all down here. But what we found was almost all the gold was right here. We found, I don't know, it may probably not a 1/4 ounce, but found some decent gold, and almost everything. We did some test pans, and this took me 5 minutes to pan down. Everything out of 5 tons of material took me like 5 minutes to pan, and that was where 98% of our gold was. We tested everything here separately, and we found like 2 to 3 little tiny specks in this, to the point where I didn't even save it. I just threw it back in with the black sand. It was amazing.
And when he sent me that email, and it was like, holy cow, dude. He said I was skeptic at first, but I'm a true believer now. Yeah. And he described what happened, and it was like they shut down after the run, and it was like the mat's empty. I mean, it was empty. It was like there's no cons in here.
Flipping out. So, Aaron, we got to turn out the water, man. It's too much water. We're just blowing everything out, and we weren't.
And then, but the key to it is that expanded metal and that UR mat is just, once that gold gets in there, it's completely protected from the flow. The other thing is there's not a lot of disturbance in there now to blow that out. The rocks are just rolling on past it.
Yeah, with the original riffle system, the rocks would catch. So the whole time we were here throwing rocks out. The rocks would start piling up, like this size rock. It would all start piling up. Well, when it does that, it'll start building sand on top. Then all the gold will start coming out above that. So the whole time we're back and forth, trying to throw these rocks out. Well, we ran the entire time, and I think one rock got stuck one time like this for several hours, and it was like a no maintenance sluice. You didn't have to touch it, just let it run, and keep running. And the way it washes it turns that rock, and it doesn't hang anything up. So it just continuously keeps the mat clean and I was absolutely amazed with it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, I mean, like I said, we're going down. You're going to see the water volume. I'm going to shoot this thing running. And do you have a guess? Because you got...
Oh, good Lord. Well, we've got 2 Honda 9-horse motors with the 2-inch output, high pressure pumps, like what you would use on a 6-inch dredge. You would use 2 of these motors on a 6-inch dredge, and most of the time you'd keep them idled way down to actually dredge. Last time we ran it, both the motors were almost 3/4 idle, or 3/4 throttle, and I mean it was a lot of water.
I mean, that's got to be...
It looks...
That's got to be 20,000 gallons an hour. I mean, it's got to be close to it.
I would imagine it's a ton.
It's got to be 15 to 20,000 gallons per hour, because...
It makes a kind of a whirlpool where it hits, because we've got it coming in this way here and that way, and it makes a kind of a spinning effect in a whirlpool. But as it comes down, it's a ton of water. And we've got this sluice steeper than you normally would. And normally you'd want it at about this level if you're running most material. And this was kind of our initial nugget trap, so we made it steep so everything would flow. But now we find that we're catching all the gold, and it's that steep.
Yeah, and this
I would have never.
And that's one of the things, especially if we're going to play with this a little more. We're going to refine it, but we're going to sneak in a couple sections of scrubber down at the very end. But I mean, most of your gold before, when you were running, most of your gold was your fine gold was down here.
Yeah, almost all of our gold was in this box. We had that up there, and it was kind of our nugget trap, is what we called it. And if you did have any large nuggets, it would have stayed up in there. But in this area, you don't find that many, so it really wasn't that necessary. But most of our gold was right in here, and probably 80% of our gold was down the bottom of our triple sluice at the bottom section. And when we panned that, at the very bottom, I found a piece that, like I said, it wasn't even worth saving. Tiny. And I panned out all that material, and there was really no gold in it. And not even really worth cleaning it out. Like, what we could do with this is actually we could probably run like 4 good runs. Like, probably like 4 almost full days. And all we'd have to do at the end of each day is clean this top section. This lower section, we're not even worry about. We're gonna let it go till the next day, or 4 days later, do like 4 good runs.
Just as an emergency insurance box to see what.
Insurance box.
Dude, that's crazy.
Clean this out. So our cleanup time, I mean, literally, we could run 8 hours, and our cleanup time's like 5 minutes, because we can pull this straight out, put it in the tub, rinse it out. The only issue is trying to get the gold out of there. It holds it in there so good. You have to like bend it back and
you have to reverse roll it. You got to reverse roll it. Open up this thing.
It's awesome. I mean, if that's the only issue we have is trying to get the gold out of the mat, that's awesome.
That's a good place to be.
It holds all of it.
Well, you're going to see. We're actually down here. I don't know where this video is going in the video we're doing, but we're actually going down here, and I've got David and Rick down there, and they're running the Gold Hog, and they're running it as a dredge and feeding dirt. So we got 2 people feeding that machine, and I left them alone. That's too much work for me. I'm lazy. So we're going to come up here and we're going to watch this thing run. They're going to run it. How long do you think you're going to run it today?
Hopefully probably a good 4 hours.
Okay, so we'll probably do about a 4-hour run, and then we'll show you some of the gold. Now keep in mind, this isn't the California mother lode, and this isn't Alaska. This is Georgia, and we're running old riverbed dirt, and it's all placer gold. So this stuff, when I come up here and I work this area, my mindset is minus 50. That's really where I'm looking. I'm looking at minus 50, and then every so often I pick up a minus 20. I get a little picker, and one time I did find a nugget up here. I was proud of that thing. Oh, yeah. But you have found nuggets up in this area.
Yeah, there are nuggets here. You just got to run a lot of material to find them. But the nice thing with this, we can run in one 4-hour span, though. It looks like right now we can probably run twice the material that we could before we put this in there, because of all the rocks hanging up. Aaron would be loading it, and I'd say, look, stop loading it. I gotta get these rocks out. It'd load up. So now it's just a continuous feed. He can sit there and feed it continuously and run at least twice the material, probably more than that, and it never load up. But the nice thing, before, we had so much material in here, it would probably take 40 minutes to pull all the material out of here, screen it down, and finish it just in that box, just right there. And we would have to take a shovel. It would hold so much material, it'd be like this full of just sand and rock. And now, I mean, literally, I bet it's down to 5 minutes flat with panning it down, other than picking the gold out of the actual pan. But you could pan it down to nothing but black sand and gold and be done with the whole deal, maybe 5. at the most 10 minutes.
You know what we need to do, and I just noticed this. We're trying to figure out a way to get some scrubber in here too. So we're going to put a little bit of scrubber there, and then there's a little space down there at the end that I'm going to show you that there's actually a spot for a little couple rows of scrubber in there too. Again, exposing this material to lots of surfaces. So we're going UR mat with expanded, then we're going to a 2-stage sluice with riffles with UR and expanded on it, and then I'm going to put 2 little sections of scrubber up in here, and dude, it'll be a gold catching machine now. I mean, it's just...
And I've been around gold mining since I was like 15 or actually 14 years old, and all I've seen forever is like you see the regular old dredges, you see the regular old matting, same deal for the last 20 years. Nothing's really changed, nothing new. And I've kind of got to where I really wasn't even all that excited about it. It's like, well, you go run, you get all this concentrate, you got to spend 2 hours doing that, and then you got to screen it down to 1/8 inch, and it's a nightmare. It gets to where you want to just throw it down and say, well, I'm gonna go watch TV. But with this stuff, it really makes it worthwhile, because you could take a small dredge, just a little small dredge or a sluice box, and run 3 times the material and keep going with it and going with it. And when you get done, end of the day, you clean it out, you got like 5 minutes of panning, you're done. You don't have to like have 30 buckets of concentrates laying there that you'll never run. Oh, I'll save that for winter, and you never do. It gets, it sits there for 10 years and gets mold.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things you get home, especially, I got to drive. If I'm up here for a couple of days and you drive home and you're like, there's that bucket of concentrates, it's like, dude, that's going in the garage.
Yeah, it's going to sit, you're not going to mess with that for a while.
But now I can actually take my mats, I'm going to let those guys run for 3 or 4 hours. I can go down in one pan, I'll put all my concentrates in one pan from that Gold Hog machine down there, and all of a sudden just do a couple swirls and I'll see my gold.
Yeah, go down and clean it up, 5 minutes, you know what your outcome is for that day or that run. I mean, immediately. You don't have to sit there and wait. You don't have to run it through the whole separate deal to find out. I mean, that's where this weight in gold, because when you run a lot of material, that's what you're dreading. It's like, well, I got to clean all this up. And now, I mean, literally, we'll pull that out 5-10 minutes, wash it down, we run again.
That's awesome. Hey guys, it's Doc, and it's a little bit windy out here, but I figured I'd stop for a minute and show you some of the old operation. This was from back in the 80s. When Brian originally, when they built this original plant, and it was a large plant. I think I've already shown you the pictures of it, but I'm sitting in the old sluices, and these are about 3 feet wide each. And there's one here, there's one here, and there's one there. So this is part of their old sluice run. Several levels that it went through, but a lot of people think, well, it's not a real gold mine up there. This is formerly a huge operation. They ran a ton of dirt through here, and I think that's important to stress, because you go to a lot of places and it's a tourist place and you pan, but this is an old active gold mine, and it's pretty. You guys unfortunately can't come see this really. You can see it from the road down here, but I'm breaking the rules. I'm actually up here. I wanted to give you a little bit close up on it, and I'm going to shoot some of it, but it's pretty amazing. This thing is just solid steel. It's all rusted out and old, but it's amazing. You think about back in the 80s when they were running this thing, and you can just sort of feel the history here of just water just gushing down here and finding gold, and some of those big old nuggets that I showed you. It's pretty amazing. I don't like snakes, so I'm not going to go digging in there, but you can see there's some old riffles in there, some old riffle trays. I was going to try and pull one out, but it looks too snaky to me, so I ain't touching it. I ain't going in there. Hey guys, it's Doc, and we're sitting here and we're gonna, you're fine. We're gonna actually shut this thing down here. And this is the scary part that'll scare the hell out of you. But you're gonna see how clean that mat is. And it still scares me that it's that clean,
Yeah,
but I'm gonna trust him.
It's clean, and that's probably that's probably at least 6 tons of material there, just that run, and it's that clean. Look right here at it.
I'd like to see. Well, that's pretty good though. That's pretty good because we've got right in there, we've got black sand filling 3/4 of that slot. And that's really what I like to see. Half to 3/4 black sand. That way I know the black sand is lighter than the gold. So what else is going to be in there? The gold is going to be in there. But throughout this whole thing, you're going to see, and this is what we see constantly, you're going to have areas that are less full and areas that are more full because the mat actually creates a little bit of a well. And so it gets exposed to all kinds of different velocities, but I'm gonna zoom in right there. I like that look. Right there. You can see the black sand, that riffle. See what I'm talking about right here? See that right there?
Oh yeah, perfect.
That's just, that's exactly what I wanna see. It's not overloaded, it's full of black sand. So this is pretty cool. So we're actually gonna, you guys gonna clean this mat out?
Yeah.
We'll run this, clean this mat out.
We'll rinse it out. Actually, that was probably closer to 7 tons of material run through that.
Okay.
And about 15 of our little small loader buckets.
Okay. So we'll take a look at it and see. So all right, so show me the, look at the riffles there. Those are pretty cool.
Look how nice this is washing. You can actually see the expanded metal right here. This is washing out really, really good. Really good.
And that's large. How were those? Probably 2-inch riffles?
Yeah.
Close to 2.
Yeah, 1.5 to 2 inches.
2-inch riffles, and you can see the expanded metal. There's tons of black sand. Look at, look at this.
This is pretty right here.
Look at that right there. I mean, it's just solid black sand.
This thing's running perfect. When we get here in a little bit, we're going to take this off when we go to do our clean on our lower section, and you'll see down in here where the lower part of the sluice, the actual triple sluice part, where it's actually washing it really, really clean. With our other matting, if the water flow wasn't right, everything wasn't perfect, that would fill it with sand. And then whatever gold came after that would go over the top of it and come right out. Now it's actually, it's cleaning it, it's washing it out perfectly. It'll be a nice even layer all the way through there. And even really that this whole section won't even fill up a third of a 5-gallon bucket. Just this whole entire sluice. This one will be like 1 inch in the bottom of a gold pan.
That's amazing.
After 7 tons of material.
And that's where most of the gold, where we're finding most of the gold right up here.
Yeah, almost.
You can put that whole part of the sluice, which is what, close to 6 feet, probably 6 feet long. That'll fit into 1 pan.
1 pan, and not a full pan. I'm talking 1 inch, 1.5 inches in the pan.
And then this looks like, if you cleaned all this area out, you're probably...
You might end up with like 2 pans full, maybe 3, maybe.
Whereas before, if you ran this in your old setup,
as before, we would end up with 2 or 3 5-gallon buckets entirely full,
and dread cleaning it.
We would have to go down, screen it to under 8, and just take hours to clean it out. Now it's going to be easy cleanup.
And of course, who slept through the whole thing but Gold Dog? Hey guys, this is a shutdown on the riffle section after the run. And they've gone to just UR and expanded up here. Comes down to these larger riffles. But I wanted to show you the UR mat. The UR mat with expanded metal, UR expanded metal and large riffles. And this really is what we talk about with a dredge setup. This is huge water flow. I'm guessing 15,000-20,000 gallons per hour. But you can see there's a ton of black sand in here that this thing is battling. But you can see that there's a lot of clear areas, a lot of open areas for gold to hide. They did quite a run. How many tons do you think you did total yesterday on this? 10 tons?
Could have been 10, average 10 maybe.
So about maybe 10 tons of material. So this is a double. Now below this, there's another section below this. This is a double level sluice here. So, but I wanted to show you that this is similar to what we recommend for jet dredges because of the high volume of water. It's not velocity here, even though it is a high velocity, but there's a lot of water coming through here. So I wanted to show that to you. Whew, hey guys. Okay, so we've shut down the commercial operation, and now what we're going to do is Joey's going to, we're going to do that upper mat clean out only of the UR mat with the expanded metal on it. And I'm going to get some tied ups, close ups on this too. But I mean, the mat
for the most part, looks pretty bare. It just has like black sand in it, and
very, very, very little.
that's really cool.
If you look down in here, you can see it, but very, very little accumulation.
Yeah, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my mini HD. So hold on one second. So I've got the little camera here, and we're going to take a look at this upper mat through the blaster, as I call it, up there. But you can see, I'm going to get down kind of close with it, see if it'll zoom in on my finger. But you can see how it looks almost barren. Where's my finger? There it is. But you can see what deep, deep, deep inside there is all we're holding in certain parts. Other parts we've got fair amounts of black sand, and that's what you're going to see in this mat. You're going to see some areas real sparse, some areas are more full, just depending on the velocity of it and the area of it. So let's flip that other mat. Let's take a quick look at this one. And the same thing. Oh, that's pretty sand right there. But like right here, that's what I like to see.
That's good.
I like to see when you pull it out that you've got, you know, half, 3/4 black sand in there. That's what I really like to see. But again, we're going to clean that out and take a look at it. And then I'm actually going to pan out some of my cons that we've run at the Gold Hog too. So we'll take a look at both of them just for the heck of it. We'll see what goes on. Why don't you guys go ahead, and I'll get out of your way, and I'm probably going to do a little pan of my own over here. All right, so they're over there spraying down theirs. I'm going to start doing a little bit of mine. But I've run this one, we ran the Gold Hog for about an hour, shut it down, cleaned it, ran it for about an hour, shut it down, cleaned it, because I was running up to the commercial op over here. So this is only about 2 hours, and I can show you the cons. That's the cons. It's probably about half to 2/3 of a gallon in there. And I'm just going to take a scoop out of mine, just sort of 1 or 2 scoops, and that's it. Now, keep in mind that we're down there, we're dredging and we're high banking some of this same material down there too. So there's no telling what we picked up. And see, Joey wants me to pan really fast, because if I do that, I'll lose gold into his cleanup box.
That's right. That's all I catch. Whatever there stays there. No.
Yeah, whatever comes out of the pan is his.
That's right.
Now, we haven't screened any of these cons. Keep that in mind. We're just taking the mats straight out. This is straight out cons. We haven't. So I'm going to have large rocks in here on top of all the gold. And like I said, I only took 2 little scoops out, so we'll see what's in here. Look what's sitting down the bottom. All that other gold is gone. We saw. This is new.
Jeez. You ran for how long?
1 hour down there, clean out. 1 hour down there, clean out.
Jeez, that's amazing.
2 little scoops.
Now this is what is impressive. Okay, out of, well, between 5 to 7 tons of material, that whole top section,
That's it.
That's all the material.
And that's, let me walk it over there real quick. Out of how many tons did you run, do you think?
Close to 7. More, I would say more than 5 tons.
So 5 to 7 tons, that's the cons from the UR mat versus before out of that tray.
An entire 5-gallon bucket.
5-gallon bucket.
That section. Look here, are you looking over here?
Not yet, shut up. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you this, try and get some without a reflection on it, which is kind of hard to do. But you can see some of that gold right there. That's pretty darn good sized gold. Now, all right, so now Joey's working his pan down. Now this is just from the top UR.
Yep, that's it. And I've been panning here for like 30 minutes over this little tiny pan. But... All right.
I get to keep the box. whatever you missed.
Sure, you can have it.
I'm gonna get a little tighter, and I'm gonna move around as he's sort of sloshing a little bit. All right, freeze there and tilt it up a little bit.
Let me get some of the water out there.
Let me get my finger next to it so it'll focus. There we go. You can start to see it's just, I mean, just hundreds of pieces. That's pretty cool.
A lot of pieces in here. We haven't got to the good part, I don't think. Oh yeah, look at the top. Very heavy material. Nothing but black sand right here.
It's just going to keep grabbing it and sliding the gold anyways, but we'll be able to see it pass.
Yeah.
Plus, he's not a very good panner.
No.
He's new to this. He's new to this gold business.
Yeah. Look over here.
Wow, that's the whole. Let me get my finger next to it so it'll focus on it.
That's amazing. Look at this.
A lot of gold. Stuff we don't do.
Look at this. Little section right here.
Freeze there for a sec. Let me try and get in without all that right there. That's pretty cool.
Dude, this is beautiful.
How much? That's just like a couple hours. Just
Look
on
at
that.
that. That's just for today.
Yeah, that's just the top mat there.
Oh my gosh. The very, very top.
That the water was
Look
just
at that.
screaming over. It's just there's just this kind of stuff. That kind of stuff is just all back over in here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just hundreds and hundreds of pieces of that stuff.
There's a lot of pieces in that one pan.
So we're back from our trip, and you'll have to excuse us. It's actually raining out, so I came out to the garage. You're going to hear an echo in here. We're all unpacked, we're settled down, and what I did was I grabbed some of the cons from the Gold Hog, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of swirl them in a pan. Now this is about half the concentrates. I took about half the cons and worked them down. But something that I want to show you that I think is real important, a lot of people don't understand, is that you're always going to get a mix of gold. And this is something that I want to stress, is that a lot of people say, well, George has got coarse gold. Yes, it's got some coarse gold, but it's also got very fine gold. In other words, we're talking about gold in the minus 50, minus 100, minus 150, and minus 200. And a lot of times when we're showing the gold, like from what Joey had out of that upper sluice, people are focused on that big stuff and they can't see the fine stuff. And one of the things that you're going to see, and we found over in their gold as well, is that we found a ton of minus 50 and minus 100 gold. And that's running that high volume. But I wanted to show you some of this. Okay, so I'm already having pieces of minus 50 and minus 100, mainly minus 100, already slide by down in here. So it's kind of hard. This is just milky black sand here. But I know everyone wants to focus up on the larger gold, which is going to be up here. But what we want to really, what's important to us is that this machine and our mats catch this kind of stuff, which is probably hard to see, but it's that minus 50 and there's minus 100s all in here coming down on this side now. And that's really what we're concerned about. We want to make sure that the mats and the unit at a high flow rate, because we're working a lot of material, can catch minus 50, minus 100 gold sitting right next to that larger gold that might be minus 30, minus 20, or even larger. Some nuggets and some pickers. But you can see that there's a bunch of coarse gold and larger gold up here. But what's hard to see is this little tiny stuff, this the minus 50s and minus 100s that are all back in here. It's really kind of hard to see all that. But you can see that pretty coarse gold up in here. And like I said, this is about half our con, so I'm guessing that's probably a gram and a half right there. And we didn't run. Now keep in mind, we only ran, gosh, in those 2 days, we probably only ran a total of about 5 hours with that unit. It's not like we ran non-stop with this thing. There's a bunch of wire gold. You probably can't see it, but my finger is sitting on right there, right tip of my finger. There's a minus 100 sitting right there. And then there's a minus 50s, and it's all up in here, all this, and plus it's back down here where I've already washed it through. But there's a ton of that. There's a ton of that fine gold in the minus 50 to minus 100. Of course, there's stuff way back over here too. You can see the piece of wire gold, hopefully. There's a piece of wire gold sitting right there. It's a long piece of wire gold. That's really cool.